So why are photographers so expensive? If you've been shopping around for a wedding photographer recently, you might have been surprised by the price tag. But I'm here to tell you there's several reasons why photographers cost so much. First and foremost, let's talk about skill and experience. Of course, there's some people that are just naturally creative, but photography isn't an art form where you can just instantly be great at it. It takes a lot of practice to understand the lighting and the technical aspects of photography in general. And so that artistry can cost a pretty penny. And if you're looking for a photographer that has good reputation and has been in the business for a while, expect to also pay for their experience. And photographers especially need to have some technical knowledge. So not only about editing software, but also about lighting and their equipment in general. And that brings me to point number 2. While photographers are so expensive, equipment. Of course, they have to have a really nice camera, and those don't come cheap. But also, they're going to have multiple lenses, and that doesn't even come close to the amount of equipment a photographer has to have. From lighting and tripods, multiple cameras to make sure they can take pictures quickly without changing lenses if they don't want to, and then also having the software and editing tools that they need and a computer to use. And most photographers are going to have backup equipment in case their equipment breaks or dies while it's on site. They need to have something because there's no reason why they should miss a great shot at your wedding. So another reason why photographers are so expensive, risk. Of course there's a risk that somebody puts a deposit down and the wedding gets canceled and they don't pay for the rest of the wedding fee for that date. And of course the photographer may or may not be able to book another wedding on that date. But then there's also a risk that they have that there's no second chances to take your wedding photos. So they're betting down that they are good enough to be able to capture all of the wedding photos that you want and that you're going to be happy with the pictures that they deliver. And there's some risk in that. So the next reason why photographers are so expensive, labor. Of course, a photographer might need some help the day of, so of course they might have to pay for an assistant or possibly have a second shooter. But that's not the only labor I'm talking about. Photography can be really physically demanding. I had a photographer tell me once that she wore a Fitbit on her wrist, and on average she walked between 7 and 10 miles on a wedding day. And you know, a lot of weddings are outside, and a lot of weddings take place in the summer, and it's freaking hot. So you pay to basically have a professional, like a bunch of equipment, and follow you around in the heat, in the middle of a field, in July, for 10 hours. The next reason why photographers are so expensive? Time. Not only the time that they spend with you during your wedding day, but also travel time to and from the venue, time spent scouting locations, client consultations, client meetings, time waiting for clients that aren't ready or are late for appointments, and then also the time editing photos. So one day of pictures can turn into 1 week of editing quite easily. And we haven't even talked about the time spent marketing, answering emails, and just general office hours. Another reason why photographers can be so expensive is they're self-employed, and running a business costs money. So there's certain business services they're going to have to pay for, like having a lawyer write their contracts and having an accountant help them file their taxes. And also, they're going to want to have certifications and belong to associations that help them build their business in the industry. And these things cost money. And then if you're self-employed, there's certain things that you have to pay for because there's no employer to cover it, like health insurance. And of course, there's a seasonality in the work. So a wedding photographer that's really popular might be slammed during wedding season, but in the off season, they're not going to be booked as much and they're not going to make as much money. And so their pricing during wedding season needs to compensate for that. So I hope we've given you some insight on why photographers can be so expensive.
No matter what you're looking for weddings, you can visit us at the Brad link for more expert wedding planning advice.